You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We have the most in shape Reverend that I know. Reverend Al Sharpton's here.
What's up, Rev?
What's happening? What's happening?
Everything good.
Everything
You know, the first thing they want us to ask you is about Jay-Z's line, Al Sharpton in the mirror, taking selfies.
He shouldn't be jealous. I mean, for me at 62 years old to show I could work out in shape, come on. Jay-Z, almost 50? He better get with it. I mean, I ain't mad at him. Jay-Z's had me in a few songs. Every time he does, that's cool. I'll slip him in a sermon or two, and we keep it even.
How does it feel, though, that you've been out here putting in the work for all of these years and people still feel like the Rev ain't helping enough? Asking how can you help?
Well, I think that the fact that they're asking means that they know I put in work because they ain't not asking people that they haven't. Secondly, I think that to me, you expect that. I was raised by guys in the movement. I joined the movement when I was 12. I became youth director of Operation Breadbasket in New York because I was born and raised in New York when I was 13. And I've never seen a leader, whether it was in our tradition, whether it was, Dr. King or Andy Young or Jesse Jackson, who I grew up under, or in other traditions, Mr. Farrakhan. I've never seen Malcolm. I've never seen a leader they didn't think did enough. Till they died, you never get credit.
Absolutely.
People were all over Dr. King when he died. And the next day they were having King Memorials. So I don't expect that. It's one thing that I was told when I was very young is that if you're going to get into activism and leadership, it's like football. You get on the field, half the crowd's going to cheer, the other half going to jeer. Your job is to get the ball across the goal line. Don't get too hyped up with the cheers and don't get depressed with the jeers. I mean, you take somebody like you and all the enlightening you've been trying to do, Charlamagne the God, books selling all over the world, and they try to take one show and try to make you controversial. I mean, it's people that try to build their thing off of taking shots at people that's up. That's the only way up. And if you got to try to pull somebody down to get you up, that doesn't work, and it won't. It doesn't even make a lot of sense to respond.
Well, we acknowledge that it makes sense for people to get more PR for somebody that has more light than they do, and sometimes they try to tear that person down because that gives them more attention by attacking somebody. But one thing that we've been talking about a lot lately are those memorials. And I know this has been on everybody's mind, these memorials. Obviously you were discussing earlier about the Abraham Lincoln one and trying to get that
and
down.
The Thomas Jefferson.
The Thomas Jefferson one. And they were talking about the Columbus one.
My position was, I was on Charlie Rose show, and Charlie Rose asked me about Thomas Jefferson. And I told him, I said, the Daily News in New York had done a real research about 6-7 years ago and found out that the family of Strom Thurmond, the segregationist senator in South
Nasty
Carolina,
white devil from South Carolina.
Yeah. His family owned my great-grandfather. They
Wow.
actually did the lineage check.
Wow.
And my great-grandfather, I never knew it till they came out with it, was named Coleman Sharpton, who was a slave at the plantation of Alexander Sharpton, who married Anna Thurman, who was the aunt of Strom Thurmond. So I said, so this personal to me. So I've got a problem of any tax dollars I'm spending paying for a memorial for any slaveholder. Now, you can put them in museums, private dollars, and all of that. So they blew up on that. But we marched on Fort Hamilton 3 years ago, National Action Network, about Robert E. Lee Avenue and all. You got to remember, these people get public funds. The people that clean the monuments, the people that open, the people that run the parks they in, we're paying for that. So you got a right to celebrate who you want. You don't have a right to tell me to pay for it.
Right.
When they enslaved and raped and maimed my people, I got a right to stand up to that. There's an article in one of the sites today, I think it's the Daily Beast, on what the Confederate Americans can learn from Germany. They don't allow German Nazi statues. So we supposed to not be offended that you're raising up these people? All right, fine. Thomas Jefferson was the president of the country, one of the fathers of the country. George Washington was. Both were slaveholders. That was what was going on there. But Robert E. Lee wouldn't even be mentioned if he was not the general of a Confederate army fighting to enslave us and leading a seditious rebellion against the United States government. How do you justify using public money for that? Stonewall Jackson, the same thing. Their only relationship was they were fighting to uphold slavery and to overthrow the government. So you can't even put them in the same category as Washington.
You can't argue
Same thing
that
with
point.
Strom Thurmond. Strom Thurmond got a highway in South Carolina.
Strom
Buildings
Thurmond.
named after him. For what?
And fought for segregation. And what I'm saying is, let's be real. These people fought against us, dehumanized us, enslaved us. And you want us to pay for it and apologize that we're going to raise it? Then you get a president that says that this is our culture. This is what Donald Trump said. This is our culture, our history. Well, then we should challenge him on that history. Yeah, this is our history. The history that said we had no rights anyone was bound to respect. The history that said that my mother could not be named after her father. It was against the law for us to even name our children. You want to talk about that history, President Trump? I welcome that conversation.
Now, you've been out here fighting the same fight for years. Did you ever think you'd still be marching for the civil liberties of black people all these years later?
No, I never thought I would, but never was not willing to do it. You fight till you die if there's something to fight for, or you didn't mean it in the first place. So when I look at the fact that we are, Ralph Ellison, the great novelist, said there's a boomerang element you got to deal with. You make steps forward and there's going to be a pullback. 8 years of Obama, the pullback was Trump. So I've seen it. Dave Dinkins, 4 years, pullback Giuliani. I've seen these cycles. And the reason I don't give up is because I've seen too many things that tell me we can keep on winning if we don't give up. Trump is a lightweight after you deal with the Strom Thurmonds and you deal with the others that we've had to fight against. He's nowhere. He's nothing to be underestimated, but he's not the awesome power they fought. Don't forget now, that whole generation, 2 generations ahead of me and a generation ahead of me, like John Lewis and Jesse and Dick Gregory and them, they fought when they had to sit on the back of the bus. And there was no cable news and was no social media. So what's our excuse? We got more to work with and we doing less? That's crazy.
Were you shocked with Charlottesville and seeing that at this day and age? Many supporters?
I was shocked, and I wasn't shocked. I was surprised that they were so vicious. They would kill a young white woman and not even care. And then what was shocking, though, to me was the President of the United States would stand up there and say there were fine people on both sides. What is fine about a neo-Nazi? They call themselves that. They marched with torches the night before saying Jews will not replace us. Fine people do that? That is the only thing that was shocking, is that on a presidential level that he would do that. That's why on Monday we going to Washington, 1,000 ministers that we've called together, Jews, Muslims, Christians.
All different denominations.
Everybody. And we're going to walk from King Memorial to the Justice Department because he has Martin Luther King's bust in the White House Oval Office that Obama had put there. We're saying you kept the bust, but you put the dream out. Don't distort the dream of King. King made the I Have a Dream speech that day 54 years ago Monday. So we telling everybody come out and join and walk with the ministers. Never happened before, DJ Envy. 1,000 ministers of all religions coming together.
What role does the church play in all of this?
I think the church needs to step up. The church does not dominate in the general market of our community like it used to, but it's still the largest gathering place on a weekly basis of our people. There's nowhere in the country that has an institution that gathers as many people as the church, the mosque, and the synagogue. What are we doing? Well, social media does, but that's all over the place. So what are we doing? Why aren't we at the forefront? When you see these evangelical conservatives laying hands on Trump, supporting Trump, there needs to be a response to that. That response will be Monday. Don't forget Dr. King and Malcolm were both ministers. They led moral, spiritual movements. The largest gatherings of blacks in the history of this country was called by Minister Farrakhan. It was a spiritual movement, Day of Atonement. We cannot let them take away and reinterpret what morality is. That's why we must grab the moral high ground on Monday.
Will the minister be joining in this morning?
We hope everybody comes. He and I talk all the time. And, anytime I call him for his birthday. He and I don't have to agree on everything. We have different tactics, come out of different traditions. I come out of the King tradition. But I know he believes in what he believes, and I believe in what I believe. So as long as somebody's not a phony, I can relate and talk to them.
And at the end of the day, it's just about the betterment of our people anyway.
It's about the betterment of our people. It's not about us agreeing. It's not about he may disagree with something that I say or do, or I disagree with him, and we talk about that. It's about an honest relationship toward trying to get us to a goal. And people that are immature and petty, get into name calling and all of that, I think that when you mature, you stand up and you're willing to put your life on the line. Every morning I get up, I use it as another day to try to do what it is that my life's been geared to. I look every morning at a surgical scar. I had to get an operation when a white male tried to kill me leading a march in Bensonhurst. I look at the door to my bedroom, and there are no bars on it. I spent 90 days in jail one time. I've been in jail about 30 times on civil rights stuff. And when I say, well, I'm not waking up in jail like I did in Vieques for protesting, and the scar didn't kill me, it's a good day. Nothing else bothers me.
He tried to stab you?
God, not tried. He did stab me. Yeah. I was leading the march about Yusuf Hawkins getting killed, and with 200 cops standing there, a white guy ran through the crowd, stuck a knife right in my chest. And I promised God if I made it through that, because I didn't know if I was going to live or die. You laying on a gurney, you don't know what's happening. That scar will always be there. And I don't want to remove because it reminds me of what hate really is all about. So when somebody takes a shot at me and I've been stabbed, I've been to jail for this, I don't have to defend myself. I put my record up in my own mind and just keep on fighting.
How does this period of time, you think, compare to, like, say, when you were marching for Yusuf Hawkins, as far as people being so comfortable being racist? Do you think?
I think that they're emboldened because they feel that this president and this attorney general is not going to do anything to them. See, one of the things we were able to do from Yusuf Hawkins all the way through to Abner Louima is start making people go to jail. You know, people went to jail for killing a brother in Howard Beach. People went to jail with Yusuf Hawkins. People went to jail with Abner Louima. We took it to the federal courts. They got comfortable because Giuliani came in locally, nationally now Trump, and they feel they don't have to pay a price. That's why people got angry when I sat down in City Hall and told de Blasio's police commissioner, he was talking, Eric Garner's, we got to train. I said, no, what you got to do is start perk walking bad cops.
Damn right.
When they see that they will be perk walked like criminals because they are criminals, that's how you stop police brutality.
They'll be more cautious.
And now they'll be more cautious. When we started locking people up, the violence started going down. When they started walking again, people get emboldened. Look at all these cases, and they kept walking. And we've got to look at what is our objective. Our objective is you got to pay for what you do, and many of us got caught up more in the drama of the protest than are we making things really happen. And that's why some of us that's been out here a while have tried to take the young people I have in National Action Network and say, make your rallies, make your drama, I'll be there, do what you need, but let it be focused on justice for the families and changing these laws to protect everybody. Otherwise, you're not an activist, you're just a celebrity looking for some FaceTime. Activists get stuff done.
Now, you said something earlier. You said Donald Trump was a lightweight. Why do you think he was a lightweight? Because, I mean, just for me, it's the first time I've seen that overt bigotry and racism in the White House, president.
I think the reason I'm saying that he has the power of the presidency. He has an awesome amount of power. But what he does not have is all of the laws and all of the abilities to stop things the way they did when Thurman and all these other guys were there.
Gotcha.
He's light compared to them. He's not to be underestimated. I've known Trump a long time. I marched on Trump when he took those ads out on Central Park 5. One of them at National Action Network with us worked for us. When he got out of jail, did 13 years in jail, and we were one of the few groups that would stand with them.
I saw he recently did an article about Donald Trump.
Yeah,
saying
Corey
how Donald
West.
Trump, talked about how you have to know all the facts before you can condemn somebody. And he, in that Central Park case, actually was taking out ads saying that they should go to jail without even knowing all the facts
he
of the
said
case.
they should face the death penalty.
Yeah.
We can get a case wrong, but to call for somebody's death and get it wrong. But which was worse, Angie, is that after the DNA proved that they didn't do it. 13 years later now, somebody in jail told one of his inmate buddies that he did it. They checked the DNA, and he did do it. After that came out and the city of New York had to settle with them, Trump said you shouldn't give him a dime after the DNA made it clear.
Damn.
But he wouldn't back up then. I mean, there's no question then. But if you question climate change, I guess you'll question DNA. That's who y'all got sitting in the White House.
Do you think Trump has always been a racist, or is he just doing that because he got that white supremacy fan base now?
I think that he plays to white racism, plays to supremacy. I stay away from calling names because, you know what, they tried to debate me on a show. Call him a racist. And I said, I'm not getting the name calling. Because I know what he'll do. He'll come and say, well, the New York Times even showed last week I dated black women. And he'll get 2 or 3 athletes and 1 or 2 rappers to come out and say, oh, no, he's not a racist. The issue is not whether he's a racist. The issue is he administering racism. And that's what he's doing. I'm more concerned with his policies and the system. That's why I'm marching Monday. I'm not concerned about his personal feelings.
Now, how do we get together? And we've been talking impeachment since he's been in office, and it seems like he still does what he wants to do, says what he wants to say, doesn't follow the necessary protocol. How do we get him out of office?
I think you've got to the letters of impeachment are the Congress people, and nobody's better than Maxine Waters and Cedric Richmond on that. We've got to prepare in these elections to vote them out. That's why we're organizing these ministers. Because most folk go to the churches or mosques or voters. And that's where the vote base is. We got to win these elections in Virginia, New Jersey this year. Then next year, take the Congress back and then walk him down. If you take the Congress back, you can veto and stop and block every one of his legislative efforts because they're going to do the debt ceiling next week. Then when the Congress comes back week after next, debt ceiling, infrastructure, tax reform, all that's going up. That's why this march is important, to put a signal on them, which you better and better not do. FCC that regulates this television station and Revolt, all of that is political. When they were merging, Comcast and NBC Universal, National Action Network, the Urban League, and NAACP went in and said, you have to give us 4 black stations for us to support this at FCC. That's where Revolt came from.
Right.
From
Maxine Waters was telling us
That's
that.
how it's, we were the reason y'all got to revolt, even though y'all revolt on me. But it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I text Charlamagne the God at night and say, man, y'all got to be so mean to me. But that's all right. That's me. But I think that is where you've got to have, again, political skill toward objectives. What we cannot do is keep freelancing without people's freedom. We got to know where we're going and have a strategic plan.
Now, a lot of people thinking, what is another march going to accomplish?
Another march keeps the issues out there. And the way you organize is by keeping the issues alive. Marching never solved a problem. It exposes a problem. But if you don't expose the problem, nobody's ever going to solve it. Martin Luther King never was a member of a legislature, never ran for office. King marched. Adam Clayton Powell and Thurgood Marshall in the courts and in the Congress turned it into legislation and law. Everybody has a role. My role is to keep the issues out there, to make it so hot that they got to do something about it. If somebody's not out there making a noise, you can't make the legislation. When President Obama was in, we went and I, with National Action Network and NAACP, went in and blew Trayvon up so he could respond. Trey preached the funeral in Ferguson so he could respond. Somebody's got to raise the issue. You can't expect the president or our legislators to raise the issues to themselves. We do that. When we put 1,000 preachers and imams and rabbis out there, they got to respond to that because they all need those faith leaders. If you don't raise it, they'll go on to this non-speech he made on Afghanistan last night. They ready to turn the page on Charlottesville. We got to say, no, not so fast. We got some issues here we got to discuss because our lives are there.
Do you think black people dropped the ball when Obama was in the White House?
I think we got too comfortable. I think we thought that we'd achieved something. I think that we had achieved something, but I think that we did not see it as an opportunity to make change, but an opportunity to celebrate.
Right.
And I think that they got so comfortable that people felt that Hillary's just going to walk in. I knew people that was getting ready, getting their makeup folks ready for the inaugural ball before the election was over, and they didn't get in the trenches and do the work. And one of the things, I probably was one of the closest civil rights leaders to Obama. And President Obama, I kept saying, we got to do the work, we got to do the work. And he kept saying, y'all have got to stay out there on these issues. And we did. But a lot of our colleagues were so busy celebrating or trying to get gigs or grants, including some of the young activists. A lot of the folks, Angie knows, that were the loudest 5 or 6 years ago, we haven't heard about. You know, every couple of years we get new leaders. This guy's, that's the newcomer. It's like a hit record. It lasts for about 6 months, like the new TV show. Some of us are long-distance runners because we're looking at the goal line, and I keep telling folks, we ain't there, y'all, yet. And the race ain't over till you break the tag at the end of the goal line, and we have not got there.
Will we ever get there? Will that ever be true?
We got to get there. I think that if we have a consistent, determined strategy, we will ultimately get to where we can share enough power to enforce true equality. We'll never get, in my lifetime, where everybody will love one another. We just have to have equal protection under the law. I don't want people to love me. I want them to not be able to hurt me or my loved ones and not pay for it.
Absolutely.
You mentioned something earlier. You talked about how, like, you and the minister can have different views, but y'all have one common goal. Do you think Malcolm and Martin could have got a lot more accomplished together?
I think that both of them were killed before they were 40. It was hard to determine. But I think sometimes you could have different roles and not be together and kind of understand each other. Minister and I talk when we'll call, but we don't talk often like that. But I think he understands what I do, where I agree and disagree. I understand what he does. And I think there's a respect. He's known me. I met him first when I was 16. So he said to people that I've heard that the boy's been in all his life. He's been in this all his life. He gave up the violin to do what he does. He believes that, whether I believe it all the way or not. You've got to understand that people that are committed to something and respect that and watch what they do and they watch what you do and hope it ends up. Y'all don't ever have to sit down and lock arms and pose for selfies together. It's about knowing that brother or that sister's committed to something that ultimately, I hope, leads us to the same place.
And I don't ever want to see you and Minister Farrakhan doing a selfie, Reverend. Now. That's when it's gone too far. Don't do that.
I'll repost that one.
No, keep them to yourself.
I'll repost that one.
Listen, Reverend now, Sharpton, you feel like you're in the best shape of your life, though, now?
Reverend's doing push-ups on a desk. Reverend's in great shape.
Even better than when you were younger.
When I was
better shape.
When I was in my 30s, I was 300 pounds. I work out every morning at 5 o'clock, and this morning I weigh in before I go out. I was at 133 pounds.
Sheesh.
So I've lost almost more than I've ever.
133 though, Rev?
Yeah, 133.
Jeesh.
I am dangerous.
Now, what can the question is, what can people do? Just your regular person that works 9 to 5, if they want to be a part of something and say, how can regular people help?
I think regular people can help many ways. One, they can join an organization or start one. They need to be involved. 2, they need to vote. 3, they need to educate people. Go on social media, find the right articles, tell people what to read, tell people what to listen to. Read his book. Read other things. Educate yourself. Know what you're talking about. Just don't react and don't give up. A lot of people say there is no use now. Look at Trump and all of that. If we have won the White House with Obama twice, all we got to do is do it again. How we don't have the luxury of being in any ways doubtful when you already showed what you can do. Just do it again. And I think my mother couldn't vote in Dothan, Alabama, where she was born and raised, till she was 39 years old in that town. I was born and raised in Brooklyn and ran for president. My mother couldn't vote. Look how far in one generation we went from not being able to vote, sitting in the back of the bus, to her son could run for president, sitting on the stage with Barack Obama. So if we can do that in one generation, why all of a sudden now are we going to lose one election and act like the world has come to an end? We have got to be stronger than our enemy. We got to work harder, get up earlier, and be more conscious. And act like we are the sons and daughters of kings and queens, rather than we was waiting on the election and we lost the election and going to a pity party. Don't nobody care that we lost. Nobody care we sad. Nobody care we mad. What they care about is if we organize and take power.
How important are white allies right now?
I think we got to have everybody.
Yeah.
I think we got to have everybody. I think that, and we always did. That's why I have rabbis marching with us. I have Catholic priests. I think we have to have everybody as long as we all understand the agenda is for everybody. What I jump on progressives about is that a lot of them are progressive on every issue but race. Mm-hmm. They want us progressive on their issues, but not progressive on ours. My thing is I'm not looking for better slave masters. I'm looking for freedom. Don't tell me what to do and put some black props up there while y'all get your agenda over and we ain't part of the agenda. I'm not with that.
All right. Well, Reverend Al, we appreciate you and we support you all the time. Even though we make fun of you sometimes, we always support you.
Y'all can make fun of me.
We don't make fun of the Rev. We just laugh at his selfies.
All right, August
That's making fun of him.
August 28th, right, is going down. That's the march.
Yes. August 28th, 10 o'clock at the Martin Luther King Monument in Washington, D.C.
And that's just for ministers? Or?
That way, we want,
march.
it's all ministers, but we also are saying to everybody to they can come and walk with the ministers. So we're getting a lot of people that say, I ain't a preacher, but I'm coming, and I'm going to walk with y'all and show our respect. And in tribute to the show.
Here he come. Here he come.
Oh, my gosh.
All right?
There you go.
Now make fun of that. Make fun of that.
I'm going to repost that. I'm going to say, in the mirror without Sharpton, take a selfie.
Y'all was supposed to take your shirts off, though.
It's the Breakfast Club. It's Reverend Al.